The alarm bells rang through the command center of the Iron Thunder. Commander Jinwoo Park rubbed his tired eyes and looked at the flashing red lights on his control panel. It was 3 a.m, ship time, and he had been hoping for a quiet night. "Sir, we're getting something strange," said Lieutenant Hiram Choi from her communication station. Her fingers moved quickly over the glowing buttons. "It's coming from way out there. Really far away." Jinwoo walked over to her station. The Iron Thunder was the biggest warship Earth had ever built. It was his home now, floating in the darkness between the stars with 2,000 crew members. They were supposed to be on a simple patrol mission, checking the outer edges of human space for pirates or smugglers. "How far away?" Jinwoo asked. 50,000 light-years, sir. Maybe more. The signal is very weak and broken up." Hiram played the message through the speakers. Strange sounds filled the room. Crackling static mixed with voices speaking in languages Jinwoo had never heard before. Then, through all the noise came words in basic galactic common, the language most alien species used to talk to each other. The voice was desperate and scared. "Anyone who can hear this, they came from nowhere, eating our worlds. Please help us. The Devourers have returned." The message cut off into static. Jinwoo felt a cold feeling in his stomach. He had heard stories about the Devourers from old space traders, but everyone said they were just scary tales told to frighten children. "Play it again," he said. As the message repeated, more crew members gathered around. Captain Minji Kim arrived, still putting on her uniform jacket. She was young for a captain, but she was one of the best ship commanders in the human fleet. "What do we have, Jinwoo?" she asked. "A distress call from the Outer Rim. Someone or something called the Devourers is attacking colonies out there." Minji frowned. "The Outer Rim is not our problem. We barely have enough ships to protect our own worlds. Why should we care about aliens who live so far away?" Before Jinwoo could answer, the communication system buzzed again. This time it was Admiral Dong-Yun Lee calling from Earth. His serious face appeared on the main screen. "Commander Park, Captain Kim. I hope you received that transmission." "Yes, sir," Jinwoo replied. "What do you know about these Devourers?" The Admiral's face looked grim. "More than I wish I did. They're real, and they're not just raiders or pirates. Ancient records say they appear every few thousand years to harvest entire star systems. They turn planets into energy and use it to build more ships." "That sounds impossible," Minji said. "So did faster than light travel, until we figured it out." Admiral Lee leaned forward. "I'm ordering you to take the Iron Thunder and investigate. We need to know what's happening out there." "Sir, with respect, that's crazy," Minji argued. "The Outer Rim has dozens of alien species with much better technology than ours. If they can't handle this threat, what can one human ship do?" Admiral Lee smiled, but it was not a happy smile. "You might be surprised, Captain. Our ships are different from theirs. While they build elegant energy weapons and fancy shields, we build things that can take a beating and hit back hard." Jinwoo had always been proud of human warships. Other species in the galaxy thought they were crude and primitive. Human ships used thick metal armor instead of energy barriers. They fired solid projectiles and nuclear missiles instead of laser beams. Most aliens laughed at human military technology. But Jinwoo had seen human ships fight pirates and win battles that should have been impossible. There was something to be said for weapons that could punch through armor and explode inside enemy ships. "How long do we have to get ready?" Jinwoo asked. "You leave tomorrow. I'm sending you the coordinates we pulled from the signal. It will take about a month to reach the source." After the Admiral signed off, Jinwoo and Minji stood alone in the command center. The night shift crew continued their work quietly, but everyone was thinking about the same thing. "Do you really think we can make a difference?" Minji asked. "It's just one ship against something that's destroying entire worlds." "I don't know," Jinwoo said honestly. "But I know we have to try. If the Devourers are real, and if they're as dangerous as the Admiral thinks, they won't stop at the Outer Rim. Eventually, they'll come for Earth too." The next day, the Iron Thunder prepared to leave. News of their mission spread quickly through the ship. Some crew members were excited for an adventure. Others were worried about traveling so far from home. Engineer Nari-Jang came to see Jinwoo before they departed. She was small but tough, with oil stains on her hands from working in the engine rooms. "I've been checking our weapon systems," she said. "Everything is working perfectly. Our railguns can fire metal slugs at incredible speed. Our missiles carry enough nuclear warheads to crack a moon in half. If these Devourers want to fight, we can give them one." Jinwoo nodded. "What about our armor?" 2 meters of steel and ceramic plating. It's not fancy like alien energy shields, but it's solid. It won't fail us when we need it most. As the Iron Thunder began its long journey to the outer rim, Jinwoo stood on the observation deck and watched the stars. Somewhere out there, entire civilizations were crying for help. Earth's deadliest warship was going to answer that call. He didn't know what they would find when they arrived. He didn't know if they could really make a difference. But he knew one thing for certain. When the galaxy needed help, humanity would not turn away. The stars ahead looked cold and distant, but Jinwoo felt a warm pride in his chest. Whatever was waiting for them in the darkness, the crew of the Iron Thunder would face it together. They were human, and humans never backed down from a fight. The ship picked up speed, leaving Earth's solar system behind. Their destination was 50,000 light-years away, but they were already committed to the journey. The Devourers had awakened, but they were about to learn that Earth's children were not easy prey. 3 days into their journey, the Iron Thunder was no longer alone. Admiral Lee had changed his mind about sending just one ship. Now, the largest human fleet in history was traveling together through the dark space between stars. Commander Jinwoo Park stood in the main command center, watching the displays that showed all their ships. 12 massive dreadnoughts led the fleet, each one as big as a city. Behind them came 47 cruisers and over 200 smaller ships carrying supplies, fighters, and troops. "I've never seen so many human warships in one place," said Captain Minji Kim, joining him at the main display. "The politicians on Earth must be really scared to send this many ships so far from home." "They should be scared," Jinwoo replied. "If these Devourers are as dangerous as the reports say, this might not be enough." Captain Sung Min Yu's voice came over the communication system from his ship, the Busan Rising. "Commander Park, we're picking up something on our long-range sensors. It looks like a group of ships, but they're moving very slowly." Jinwoo checked his own sensors. "I see them. They're not moving slowly, they're damaged. Those ships are barely able to fly." The fleet changed course to intercept the unknown vessels. As they got closer, the ships looked stranger and stranger. They were clearly alien, but not like any design the humans had seen before. Some looked like giant flowers made of metal. Others were long and thin like needles. One ship seemed to be made entirely of crystal. "These are refugee ships," said Lieutenant Hiram Choi from her communication station. "I'm getting dozens of distress signals in different alien languages. Can you translate any of them?" Jinwoo asked. "Some of it, sir. They're saying they're running from something terrible. Their worlds are gone. They need help." Captain Sungmin took charge of the rescue operation. The Busan Rising was a heavy cruiser designed for long missions, so it had extra space and medical facilities. Soon his crew was bringing alien refugees aboard human ships. The aliens were scared and confused. Many of them had never seen humans before. Some looked almost human, but with blue skin or extra arms. Others were completely different, floating gas clouds that spoke through electronic devices, or tiny creatures that moved in swarms. Dr. Soman Park, the fleet's chief medical officer, worked with her team to treat the injured aliens. She had studied alien biology, but seeing so many different species up close was overwhelming. "Their wounds are unlike anything I've ever seen," she told Jinwoo during a medical briefing. "It's not just physical damage. Something attacked them at the molecular level. Their bodies are breaking apart from the inside. What could do that? I don't know. But whatever weapon caused this, it's not like our guns or missiles. It's something that attacks matter itself." The most helpful refugee was an alien named Korvac. He looked like a large insect with 4 arms and compound eyes. He could speak basic Galactic Common, and he had been a ship captain before his world was destroyed. The Devourers came without warning. Korvac explained to Jinwoo and the other human commanders. "One day our sensors detected ships at the edge of our system. The next day our sun was gone." "Gone? How do you destroy a star?" asked Captain Minji. "They don't destroy it. They eat it. They have machines that can turn solid matter into dark energy. Stars, planets, moons, everything gets consumed and converted into power for their fleet." Engineer Nari Zhang had been listening quietly. Now she spoke up. "What about defenses? Surely your people fought back?" Korvac's insect head drooped sadly. "We tried. Our energy shields and plasma weapons are very advanced. But nothing worked. The Devourer weapons pass right through energy barriers like they don't exist. They attack the atoms themselves." "What about solid barriers?" Nari asked. "Physical armor? We don't use such primitive things, Korvac replied, sounding confused. Why would anyone build ships from metal when energy shields are so much more efficient? Jinwoo and Nari exchanged looks. Human ships were covered in thick metal and ceramic armor. Other species thought this was stupid and old-fashioned. But maybe being old-fashioned was exactly what they needed. Tell me more about their weapons, Nari said. For the next several hours, Korvac and other refugees described the Devourer technology. The enemy ships could fire beams that dissolved matter at the quantum level. Their hulls seemed to be made of crystallized dark energy. They moved without engines, somehow bending space around themselves. Nari worked frantically in the engineering sections, modifying human weapons based on what they learned. If the Devourers attacked matter itself, maybe kinetic weapons would work better than energy guns. Railguns fired solid metal slugs at incredible speed. Nuclear missiles carried physical warheads that would explode whether the enemy had energy shields or not. I think we might have an advantage, she told Jinwoo. Our weapons work differently from alien technology. While they've been perfecting energy manipulation, we've been building bigger guns. 2 weeks into their journey, they found out if she was right. The fleet was passing through an empty star system when their sensors detected 3 large objects approaching fast. Devourer ships, announced Lieutenant Hiram with fear in her voice. 3 of them coming straight at us. The enemy vessels looked like nothing the humans had ever seen. They seemed to be made of black crystal that bent light around it. Instead of normal engines, space itself seemed to twist and flow around them. All ships battle stations, Jinwoo commanded. Let's see what Earth's deadliest warships can do. The first Devourer beam struck the cruiser Soul's Edge. Instead of passing through like it had with alien energy shields, the beam hit solid metal armor. The outer layers melted and boiled away, but the ship remained intact. Direct hit, minimal damage, reported the Soul's Edge captain. Our armor is holding. Then the human fleet opened fire. Railguns launched metal slugs at 30% the speed of light. Nuclear missiles streaked across space, trailing bright exhaust. For the first time in months, Devourer ships took real damage. Impossible, whispered Korvac, watching from the Iron Thunder's observation deck. Your primitive weapons are hurting them. Sometimes primitive is exactly what you need, Jinwoo said with a grim smile. The battle was short, but fierce. 2 Devourer ships were destroyed, and the third retreated into the dark between stars. The human fleet had won their first victory, but Jinwoo knew this was just the beginning. As they continued toward the outer rim, word of the battle spread through the refugee ships. For the first time in months, the aliens had hope. Maybe these strange humans with their crude metal ships and explosive weapons could actually fight the Devourers, but Jinwoo stared at the damage reports and wondered how many more battles they would have to fight before they reached their destination. The enemy knew about them now, and they would be ready next time. The human fleet arrived at the Helix Nebula to find hell waiting for them. Space was full of explosions and dying ships. Hundreds of alien vessels were fighting a desperate battle against 3 massive Devourer hive ships, each one the size of a small moon. My God, whispered Captain Minji Kim, staring at the main display. Look at the size of those things. Commander Jinwoo Park watched as another alien cruiser dissolved under a Devourer beam. The enemy weapons were tearing through the Galactic Coalition forces like they were made of paper. Beautiful ships with elegant curves and glowing energy shields were being reduced to atoms. Sir, we're getting a transmission from the Coalition fleet, reported Lieutenant Hiram Choi. They're ordering us to stay back and wait for official contact protocols. Jinwoo almost laughed. Contact protocols meant weeks of paperwork and diplomatic meetings while people died. The alien fleet was losing badly, and every minute they waited meant more deaths. How long until their fleet breaks? He asked. At this rate, maybe 20 minutes, said Nari Jang, studying the tactical display. Those hive ships are just too big. The aliens can't hurt them with energy weapons. On the display, a crystalline ship that looked like a work of art broke apart under concentrated Devourer fire. Jinwoo could see escape pods launching, but most of them were being hunted down and destroyed. Sir, we should follow the Coalition's orders, Minji said quietly. We're not supposed to interfere in galactic politics without permission from Earth. Earth is 50,000 light-years away, Jinwoo replied. By the time we get permission, everyone here will be dead. He opened a fleet-wide channel. All ships, this is Commander Park, we're going in. Target the hive ships with everything we have. Show these Devourers what human weapons can do. Captain Taehyung Kang's voice came over the radio from the battleship Incheon's Wrath. Finally, some action. My crew has been waiting for a real fight. The human fleet charged into battle. 12 dreadnoughts led the attack, their hulls bristling with railguns and missile launchers. The smaller cruisers spread out in attack formation, while fighter squadrons launched from the carriers. The first thing the Devourers noticed was that human weapons actually worked. When a railgun slug traveling at 90,000 kilometers per second hit a hive ship, it punched clean through the dark crystal hull. Nuclear missiles exploded inside the enemy vessels, causing real damage for the first time in months. Their armor is tough, but it's still just matter, reported Nari over the battle channel. Our kinetic weapons can crack it if we hit hard enough. Captain Tae-hyung took his battleship straight at the largest hive ship. Devourer beams struck the Incheon's Wrath, melting away layers of armor, but the ship kept coming. At point-blank range, every gun on the battleship opened fire. For Earth, Taehyung shouted as his ship pounded the enemy vessel. For humanity, the alien coalition forces watched in amazement as the human fleet tore into their enemies. Ships that had seemed invincible were taking heavy damage. One of the smaller hive ships actually began to retreat. Then a new voice came over the communication system, speaking perfect English with a slight Korean accent. Human fleet. This is Admiral Youngji Nam of the coalition forces. I never thought I'd see Earth ships this far from home. Admiral Nam. Jinwoo was surprised. You're human? Born in Seoul just like you, Commander Park. I've been serving with the Galactic Coalition for 15 years. We really need to talk after this battle. Admiral Nam's ship was a hybrid design, part human engineering and part alien technology. It looked strange but effective, with thick armor plates protecting advanced energy weapons. How did you know I was from Seoul? Jinwoo asked while directing his ship's weapons at a Devourer cruiser. I've been watching Earth's military development through intelligence reports. The Iron Thunder is famous even out here. A lot of alien species are curious about human warship design. The battle turned as more human ships joined the fight. Fighter pilot Ji-hoon Bae led his squadron in a daring attack on a hive ship's weapon systems. His small fighters were too fast for the big Devourer guns to hit, and their missiles could target weak spots in the enemy armor. This is incredible, came a transmission from one of the alien ships. The humans are actually winning. It wasn't quite true, the battle was far from over. But for the first time in months, the Devourers were taking serious losses. 2 of the 3 hive ships were heavily damaged, and dozens of smaller enemy vessels had been destroyed. The largest hive ship suddenly stopped firing and began to withdraw. The other 2 followed, limping away into deep space. The Devourers had never retreated before. Did we just make them run? Asked Captain Sung-min from the Busan Rising. I think we did, Jinwoo replied, hardly believing it himself. The aftermath of the battle was chaos. Hundreds of damaged ships needed rescue and repair. The humans worked alongside alien crews they had never met before, sharing supplies and medical aid. Admiral Nam came aboard the Iron Thunder for a face-to-face meeting. She was in her 40s with gray hair and the confident bearing of someone who had spent years commanding warships. You have no idea how important this victory is, she told Jinwoo and his senior officers. The Galactic Coalition has been losing this war badly. Most species have given up hope. Why are human weapons so much more effective? Asked Captain Minji. Because you never stopped thinking like warriors, Nam replied. While other species were perfecting elegant energy manipulation, humans kept building bigger guns and thicker armor. Everyone thought you were primitive, and now they're starting to understand that sometimes primitive is exactly what works. Nam activated a holographic display showing the galactic situation. The Devourers have consumed over 200 star systems. Billions of beings are dead or refugees. But this is the first real defeat they've suffered. Jinwoo studied the tactical information. The enemy controlled a huge area of space and seemed to have unlimited ships. We're still badly outnumbered. Yes, but now we have hope. And more importantly, we have a strategy that works. Nam highlighted several key star systems. If we can modify coalition weapons with human kinetic technology, we might be able to fight back. Dr. Soman Park had been treating wounded aliens in the medical bay. She joined the meeting with news about the enemy. I've been studying Devourer weapon effects on different species, she reported. Their quantum dissolution beams work by breaking the bonds between atoms. Energy shields don't stop them because they attack matter directly. But physical armor does stop them? Nari asked. Not completely, but it gives much better protection. The dissolution effect has to work through layers of solid matter. Thick armor can absorb most of the damage. Admiral Nam nodded. This confirms what we learned today. Human defensive technology is the key to surviving devourer attacks. As the meeting continued, Jinwoo felt a strange mixture of pride and worry. The human fleet had proven themselves in battle, but this was just one victory in a much larger war. The devourers were still out there, still consuming worlds. But for the first time since leaving Earth, he felt like they might actually have a chance. Human stubbornness and primitive weapons had given the galaxy something it hadn't had in months: hope. Outside the Iron Thunder, alien and human crews worked together to repair their ships. Different species that had never cooperated before were sharing technology and resources. The battle had changed more than just the military situation. "What's our next move?" Jinwoo asked Admiral Nam. She smiled, and for a moment she looked like the young woman who had left Seoul years ago to explore the galaxy. "Now we take this war to them. It's time the Devourers learned what happens when you threaten humanity's friends." The war room aboard the Iron Thunder was packed with beings from a dozen different species. Commander Jinwoo Park looked around the table at his strange new allies. There were crystalline Vortani who spoke through harmonic vibrations, floating lumens that glowed with inner light, and insectoid helix engineers with compound eyes. "The intelligence is confirmed," said Admiral Youngji Nam, pointing at the holographic display. "We found their main base." The image showed something that shouldn't exist, an artificial structure the size of a solar system. Rings of dark crystal surrounded a central core, with captured planets floating in organized patterns like jewels on a necklace. "They call it the Harvester," explained Korvac, the insectoid refugee who had become their expert on devourer technology. "It's where they process consumed worlds into energy for their war machine." Captain Taehyung Kang leaned forward. "How many ships are guarding it?" "Thousands. Maybe tens of thousands." Admiral Nam's expression was grim. "But here's the important part. If we can destroy the Harvester, we cripple their ability to build new ships. It might buy the galaxy years to prepare proper defenses." "Might?" asked Captain Minji Kim. "That doesn't sound very encouraging." "The Harvester is just one facility. Our intelligence suggests they have others beyond the galactic rim, but it's the only one we know about, and it's processing most of their current resources." Jinwoo studied the defensive patterns around the massive construct. Layer after layer of devourer ships patrolled the area. Getting close would be almost impossible, and fighting through all those defenses would cost thousands of lives. "What if we didn't fight through them?" he said slowly. "What if we went around?" Engineer Narijang caught on immediately. "A stealth approach. One small ship gets inside while the main fleet creates a distraction." "Exactly. We need someone to get close to the core and plant quantum charges at key structural points." Captain Hyunwoo Song of the cruiser Gwangju Shadow spoke up. "My ship is designed for reconnaissance. We've been heavily modified with stealth systems and sensor dampers. It would be a one-way mission," Admiral Nam warned. "Even if you successfully plant the charges, getting out alive would be nearly impossible." "Then we make sure it's not one way," Jinwoo replied. "We coordinate the attack so the charges don't detonate until the strike team is clear." Lieutenant Yoonbi Lim, their xenoarchaeologist, had been studying the Harvester's structure. "There's something else you need to know. The construct isn't just a factory, it's also a prison. Long-range scans show preserved specimens from thousands of consumed worlds. A museum of extinction," whispered Dr. Soman Park. "They're keeping samples of every species they destroy, which means if we can capture those specimens instead of destroying them, we might be able to restore extinct civilizations," Yunbi added. The plan became more complex. Captain Song's stealth team would infiltrate the Harvester and locate the specimen storage areas. If possible, they would extract the preserved materials before detonating the quantum charges. Meanwhile, the combined human and alien fleet would assault the outer defenses, drawing attention away from the stealth mission. It would be the largest space battle in galactic history. 3 days later, they began the attack. The fleet approached the Harvester system from multiple directions, spreading out to look like a full invasion force. Devourer ships swarmed to meet them like angry insects defending their nest. "Contact in 30 seconds, reported Lieutenant Hiram from her communication station. "Enemy fleet composition is overwhelming." Jinwoo could see what she meant. The Devourer force was 3 times larger than their own. But they weren't trying to win this battle. They just needed to keep the enemy busy. All ships engage at maximum range. Draw them away from the harvester. The space battle erupted across the entire solar system. Human dreadnoughts traded volleys with massive hive ships while alien cruisers danced around devourer destroyers. Fighter squadrons led by Ji-hoon Bay darted between the larger vessels, striking at critical systems. Captain Taehyung's battleship took position at the center of the formation, drawing heavy enemy fire. Come on, you crystalline monsters. Let's see what you're made of. The Incheon's wrath disappeared under concentrated devourer fire, its armor glowing white-hot from energy beams. But it kept fighting, its railguns punching holes through enemy hulls. While the main battle raged, Captain Song guided the Gwangju's shadow through the outer sensor perimeter. The stealth ship moved slowly and carefully, using the massive energy signatures from the battle to mask its approach. We're inside their detection grid, Song reported over the secure channel, beginning approach to the harvester core. The construct was even more impressive up close. Captured planets hung in precise formations, connected by streams of energy that flowed toward the central processing core. Song could see the worlds being slowly consumed, their matter converted into dark energy. It's horrible, said Lieutenant Yunbi, watching one of the planets shrink as its mass was drained away. An entire civilization lived on that world. Focus on the mission, Song reminded her. We can mourn later. The stealth ship slipped through the harvester's superstructure, navigating between massive energy conduits and processing stations. Minho Jung, their demolitions expert, prepared the quantum charges while Yunbi used her sensors to locate the specimen storage areas. Found them, she announced. Deck 37, Section 12. The preservation chambers are heavily shielded. They had to work quickly. Even with the battle raging outside, it was only a matter of time before someone noticed the stealth ship. Song's crew split up, half planting charges at critical points, half gathering preserved specimens from dead worlds. The technology here is incredible, Yunbi said as she downloaded data from the storage computers. They have genetic samples, cultural archives, even consciousness patterns from billions of beings. Can we use it to bring back extinct species? Asked Minho while setting another charge. Maybe. With enough time and resources, some of these civilizations could be restored. But time was running out. The main battle was going badly for the coalition forces. Devourer reinforcements were arriving from deeper in their territory, and the human fleet was taking heavy losses. Song, you need to get out of there. Jinwoo's voice crackled over the communication link. We can't hold them much longer. Almost finished, Song replied. 5 more minutes. They didn't have 5 minutes. Devourer security forces had detected the intruders and were closing in. Song's crew fought running battles through the construct's corridors while trying to complete their mission. Charges are set, Minho reported. But the detonation timer is damaged. Someone will have to trigger them manually. Song looked around at his crew, young men and women who had volunteered for what they knew might be a suicide mission. Get to the ship. I'll handle the charges. Sir, no, protested Yunbi. We can find another way. There is no other way. The galaxy is depending on us. As his crew reluctantly headed back to the Gwangju's shadow, Song made his way to the central detonation point. Behind him, he could hear devourer forces breaking through the security barriers. The main battle was reaching its climax. The human fleet had lost 4 dreadnoughts and dozens of smaller ships, but they had accomplished their goal. The enemy was fully committed to the fight and had no reserves left to defend the harvester. All ships, begin withdrawal, Jinwoo ordered. Captain Song, report status. Charges are ready. Song's voice was calm despite the explosions in the background. Tell my wife I love her. Before anyone could respond, Song activated the quantum charges. The explosion started small, then grew exponentially as it fed on the harvester's own energy. The massive construct began to tear itself apart. Centuries of accumulated dark energy released in a chain reaction that lit up the entire system. The shockwave hit both fleets, destroying damaged ships and sending survivors tumbling through space. But when the light faded, the harvester was gone. In its place was only expanding debris and the faint signatures of quantum energy. Did we get him out? Jinwoo asked desperately. Lieutenant Hiram checked her sensors. I'm picking up an automated distress beacon. Very faint, but it's there. The rescue took 6 hours. They found Captain Song unconscious in an escape pod, badly injured but alive. An ancient automated system inside the harvester had detected the explosion and launched him to safety. The specimens? Song whispered when he woke up in the medical bay. Safe, Yunbi assured him. We recovered genetic samples from over 3,000 extinct species. With time, we might be able to bring some of them back. The victory came at a terrible cost. Hundreds of ships were lost and thousands of beings had died. But the galaxy's most important devourer facility was destroyed, and they had proof that the enemy could be beaten. More importantly, they had something that had been missing for months: hope for the future. The preserved specimens meant that civilizations thought lost forever might live again. But as they gathered their surviving forces, long-range sensors detected something troubling. Movement beyond the galactic rim where no stars should shine. The harvester had only been the beginning. 6 months after the destruction of the harvester, the galaxy was a different place. Admiral Minji Kim stood on the observation deck of the new coalition headquarters, watching construction crews work on the latest generation of warships. The vessels looked strange, part human engineering, part alien technology, but they were exactly what the galaxy needed. The integration is going better than expected, reported Dr. Wanho Shin, the terraforming specialist who had become the leader of the restoration project. We've successfully revived 17 extinct species using the genetic samples from the harvester. Minji nodded, still amazed by how much had changed. After the victory at the harvester, other galactic species had finally understood that human military technology wasn't primitive. It was exactly what they needed to fight the devourers. How are the new colonies doing? Better every day. The Coralli have established 3 new worlds after we restored their species. The Zenthi are rebuilding their entire civilization from cultural archives we recovered. Wanho smiled. It's incredible to see dead worlds coming back to life. The restoration project was the most ambitious undertaking in galactic history. Using the preserved specimens and data from thousands of consumed worlds, teams of scientists were literally rebuilding extinct civilizations. It wasn't perfect. Many species would never fully recover, but it gave hope to billions of refugees. Commander Jinwoo Park's sacrifice at the harvester had become legendary throughout the galaxy. Statues of him stood on a dozen worlds, and human military academies across known space taught his tactics to new generations of officers. But Minji knew something. The rest of the galaxy didn't. Jinwoo wasn't dead. She made her way through the corridors of the space station to a restricted medical facility. Inside, in a specially designed recovery chamber, Jinwoo Park was finally waking up from 6 months of induced coma. "How do you feel?" asked Dr. Soman Park, monitoring his vital signs. "Like I was blown up by quantum charges," Jinwoo replied weakly. "But alive. How is that possible?" "The automated systems inside the harvester didn't just save Captain Song," Somin explained. "They saved you too. You were in stasis for 3 days before we found your pod." Jinwoo tried to sit up, wincing from his injuries. "The war? Did we win?" "We won that battle, but the war isn't over." Minji helped him stand. "There's something you need to see." She led him to the observation window. Outside, the construction yard stretched for kilometers in every direction. Hundreds of ships were being built, new designs that combined human kinetic weapons with alien energy manipulation technology. "The galaxy learned from what we taught them," Minji explained. "Every major species is now building ships with heavy armor and railguns. The Terran Protocol has become the standard for all military operations." A young officer approached them. Commander Giseo Khan was one of the new generation of fleet leaders, trained in academies that taught both human and alien tactical doctrine. "Admiral Kim, the new ships are ready for their first trials. Would you like to observe?" They made their way to the main command center, where hundreds of technicians were monitoring the test flights. The new warships looked impressive, sleek alien designs protected by thick human armor plating, armed with both energy weapons and kinetic cannons. "The hybrid technology works perfectly," reported engineer Nari Jang, who had been promoted to chief of weapons development. "We can punch through devourer defenses and survive their return fire." But even with all their improvements, everyone knew the real challenge was still coming. Long-range sensors had been tracking massive movements beyond the galactic rim. Whatever the devourers had been building out there in the dark space between galaxies was finally ready to move. "How long do we have?" Jinwoo asked. Maybe a year, maybe less, replied Admiral Youngji Nam, joining them at the tactical display. Our deep space probes are picking up energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before. The force heading our way makes the harvester look like a small mining station. Jinwoo studied the sensor data. The approaching threat was enormous. Not just a fleet, but what looked like an entire artificial galaxy made of dark energy constructs. It was the true devourer force, finally coming to reclaim the galaxy they had been harvesting. Do we have enough ships to stop them? He asked. Not even close, Nam replied honestly. But we have something more important: unity. For the first time in galactic history, every major species is working together. Human technology has given them hope. As if to prove her point, the command center received a priority transmission from the Outer Rim. The face that appeared on screen was Korvac, the insectoid refugee who had become a coalition admiral. Human command. This is Admiral Korvac of the Helix Defense Force. Our new ships are performing perfectly. The Devourer advanced scouts we encountered yesterday were completely destroyed with minimal losses. Similar reports came in from across the galaxy. The crystalline Vortani had modified their ships with human armor plating. The energy-based lumens were installing kinetic weapon systems. Even species that had been enemies for centuries were sharing technology and resources. It's working, said Yuna Kwok, the diplomatic liaison who had helped negotiate the technology exchanges. The galaxy is more united than it's been in thousands of years. But Jinwoo knew unity alone wouldn't be enough. The approaching Devourer force was simply too large. They would need something more, a strategy that could turn the galaxy's greatest weakness into its greatest strength. What if we used our diversity against them? He suggested. The Devourers have been fighting the same type of technology for millennia. They're used to energy weapons and energy shields. But every species in the galaxy has different approaches to technology. Explain, said Nam. We don't build one type of ship. We build 100 different types. Vortani crystal ships, lumen energy constructs, human metal warships, helix bioorganic vessels. Everything different, everything unexpected. Nari's eyes lit up. A technological puzzle they can't solve. Every ship they encounter uses completely different principles. Exactly. They might adapt to human kinetic weapons, but can they also adapt to Vortani harmonic disruptors, and lumen phase manipulation and Corelli plasma threading all at the same time? The idea spread quickly through the coalition. Instead of standardizing their technology, they would embrace their differences. Each species would contribute their unique strengths to create the most diverse fleet in galactic history. Months passed in frantic preparation. Shipyards across the galaxy worked around the clock. Human engineers worked alongside alien scientists they couldn't even communicate with directly, sharing ideas through translation programs and holographic displays. The Iron Thunder was rebuilt as the flagship of the new Galactic Defense Force. Its armor was still thick human steel, but it was powered by lumen energy cores and armed with weapons designed by a dozen different species. It's not the most efficient design, admitted Nari as she showed Jinwoo around the upgraded ship. But it's the most unpredictable. When the Devourer force finally arrived at the Galactic Rim, they faced something they had never encountered before. Not just resistance, but chaotic, unpredictable resistance that changed with every battle. Jinwoo stood on the bridge of the Iron Thunder as the final confrontation began. Around him, the largest fleet in galactic history spread across thousands of star systems. Ships that looked like art pieces fought alongside vessels that were clearly built for war. Organic constructs that seemed to be alive shared formations with crystalline structures that sang as they moved. All ships, this is Commander Park, he announced on the galaxy-wide channel. Today we fight not just for our homes, but for the right of diversity to exist in this universe. Show them what happens when the galaxy stands together. The battle that followed would be remembered for millennia. But win or lose, the galaxy had already achieved something incredible. They had proven that differences could be strength, that unity didn't mean uniformity. Earth's deadliest warships had answered a call that resounded across worlds. In doing so, they had changed not just the galaxy's military technology, but its entire understanding of what it meant to fight together. The stars ahead were full of enemies, but they were also full of allies. And for the first time since the Devourers had awakened, the galaxy was ready for whatever came next. As energy beams and kinetic rounds lit up the darkness between stars, Jinwoo smiled. Humanity had traveled 50,000 light-years to answer a desperate call for help. They had found not just a war to fight, but a family to protect. The Devourers had awakened, expecting to harvest another helpless galaxy. Instead, they had found Earth's children and all the friends they had made along the way.